Joining me on the program from cv.co.nz, Tom O'Neill. Tom, kia ora, thanks for joining us.
Kia ora, my friend. Great to be on the show.
Now, there's a thing online where you have to click some pictures to identify that you're not a robot to get through to the next stage. This is perhaps the other way around. We need to learn to speak like a robot or think like a robot to get through to the next level. But honestly, we don't even understand what the questions are, what sort of parameters are programmed into the AI. I know a lot of people in the job hunt at the moment are saying, hey, what's the point? I'm putting a lot of work into this. I've no idea as to whether or not my CV is actually being read by a person.
Look, honestly, yeah, things are rapidly changing. I mean, with obviously the AI coming in and all these sort of things, and what's called applicant tracking software, ATS. So basically, what it does is it just gets your CV, strips out all the text, literally cuts it all out, pastes it into a machine-readable file for its own use, and then goes through and effectively looks for keywords and sort of frames it up itself. And we went through a phase about 10 years ago where we started to have really cool graphical looking CVs, you know, that actually were really pleasant to view. So instead of the standard, oh yeah, here we go, black text, white background. But unfortunately, because of ATS, we've now swung back towards the more basic CVs. And there's a whole sort of bunch of things you can do to really make sure you can sort of dodge the bots and hopefully get through to that human person.
Now, you can understand from an HR point of view, if they're overwhelmed almost by the amount of applications that are coming through, they're going to need to filter it in some way. And if it's not AI, then it's just them flipping through the papers and just grabbing out the ones that pop for them. Perhaps in some ways AI is slightly fairer than HR instinct. Would that be fair, do you think?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. All things being equal, probably, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not based on that.
No.
You know, if this person has who's a really fantastic candidate, ideally the best candidate, right?
Yep.
But if their CV is in a whole bunch of columns, ATS software struggles to read columns. As a human, we look at it, makes perfect sense. But in an ATS CV, it's, you know, they all get jumbled up. And so a lot of the keywords will get lost across the different areas. Secondly, different fonts. So a lot of people like specialist fonts to make their CV different. Problem is, if it's not what's called a true type font, a lot of the time ATS has no idea what it's reading. So we've got it, you know, from the face of it, it looks awesome. But from an ATS perspective, it might as well be Greek. And then, you know, other things like just particularly keywords. So important to tailor your CV and cover letter in those keywords, because that's effectively what the bot's looking for. The recruiter has sat down and put in keywords like communication, sales, sales, business development, account management, whatever it is, you know, and put it in there, Microsoft Office, administration, whatever the keywords are. Now, if those keywords are not in your CV, from a purely mathematical perspective, you don't have those skills.
Wow.
You could have all the skills.
Yeah.
But if you've only got 3 out of 20, you know, you've got a very low mathematical score in terms of what actually your viability. And that's really what it comes down to, making sure we're using a stuff them with keyword game.
Yeah, exactly. And it needs to be the words, not synonyms for the keywords. It needs to be specific on this. Can we flip the tables on this one? Can we use, and you and I have talked about this before, can we use AI to help us write our CV to make sure we get as many of the keywords in as possible? Can we, for example, let's take the job ad, put it through Grammarly or worse, and say, write us a CV that's just stuffed full of keywords? Can we turn the tables on the robots, if you like, or is that slightly problematic? If we make it through to the next stage and an actual person reads it, they'll just throw it out because it looks like it's been written by AI.
Yeah, well, this is the problem for a lot of AI. Well, AI stuff, if you say just write my CV, sort of here it is.
Yep.
AI doesn't know your achievements. So if you're an office administrator, you set up new systems, put new processes in place, coach, mentored new team members. AI doesn't know that.
Yep.
If you're a sales rep, you've exceeded sales targets, you've won awards, you've gone on, trips and prizes. All AI doesn't know that. If you're a general manager, AI doesn't know that you doubled turnover within 2 years of your tenure.
Yeah.
So AI is great in sort of getting some of this stuff, but we still need to do the hard work ourselves in terms of those achievements. And then, as you're saying, with the keywords, an option is to use something like Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever. Gemini is the Google variant.
Yep.
And get the bit in the bit in the advertisement where it says the ideal candidate will have the following competencies and skills. Grabbing that, putting that in ChatGPT, and getting that to reword that, potentially, because what that does is it just sort of rewrites it in a different way. End of the day, at cv.co.nz, that's what we do. You send us a job for a radio announcer, and we look at the keywords, and we pull those keywords out, rewrite those, ethically, obviously.
Yep.
Not going to say stuff you don't have, and then put that into the CV. So it's that same sort of thing. Whatever you do, however you do it, look at what they're wanting, and you can use AI, you can use whatever, professional service, you can do it yourself, whatever it is, but make sure there's that response.
That is so important, really, because as I say, even if you get through the first round, firstly, well done. You're being read by a human, but at that level, you need to do more than have keywords. You need to be able to say, "Hey, let's take those keywords and throw in examples which demonstrate not just I can repeat a word, but I have lived experience in the particular area. I have the skills that the HR department and the organisation is looking for." I mean, you skimmed over this quickly, but really this is what you do. And to be able to take the experience of an HR professional yourself, you've been on the other side of this table, but to be able to help people to jump through those hoops, both the AI ones and also from an HR appointment point of view, you know what HR professionals are looking for. So just putting in a plug for your mates on this one. If somebody is really struggling in this space and going, "Gosh, I don't know if my CV's being read, how can I lift my game?" then organisations such as yourself, cv.co.nz, certainly a worthwhile investment rather than writing cover letters that you don't know if they're even being read, right?
Well, this is the thing. We just don't know what's happening. Every job's different. Every application, every process to some degree is different.
Yep.
So you just need to make sure that you're just putting your best foot forward. One thing we're really happy to do for Rhema listeners is have a free CV LinkedIn assessment. So if you're interested, just email us your CV, tom@cv.co.nz, tom@cv.co.nz. Really happy just to come back to you and give you fair and honest feedback free of charge. Also send you a copy of my book, and also 10% off for any Rhema listeners as well for any services. So
Tom, really appreciate your generosity there. I wasn't looking for a freebie in that regard, but honestly, if you send your CV to cv.co.nz, personal guarantee it will be read by a human in the first instance. Yeah. And also a free assessment and some discounts if people wanted to polish things up and improve the odds remarkably of at least getting shortlisted and getting to an interview. cv.co.nz. Thanks for your generosity in this space, Tom. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, mate. God bless.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.